What is up, everybody? This is Theocracy with Theo Snodgrass. I am, of course, your host, Theo Snodgrass, wherever you may be. Thank you for making me a part of your day. This is a later show today on the Monday show. We're getting off to a late start today. I'm having a hell of a time with audio issues with this. I use Talk to Studio Streamlabs, and about half the time it just doesn't work at all. About half the time, it just downregulates my microphone. It just wants me to be quieter on purpose. So I can only assume it's part of the opposition media. Let's try to stop me from giving you the message that the media doesn't want you to hear. I'm just kidding. That's not real. Let's see. Let's see who's here. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Normie Nerd is up here. What's up, buddy? Leighton Dermy. Classic. Shout out Dermy Wormy, friend of the channel. And gay. Ronald Skinner is here. What's up, buddy? Oh man, I like seeing the word retard in the chat. That means it makes me know I'm attracting the right kinds of people. That's what I actually. By the way, not for nothing, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to go over today that I may still get to. But right as I was about to go live, they dropped a bunch of new Akash Singh videos. It's so bad. Just to update you, Akash Singh, our good friend. You guys remember Akash Singh from last week? He was the guy whose wife was going crazy on and has this terrible podcast where he talks about how much he sucks. Anyway, I'm going to have to just do that in a separate show. I don't have time to do it right now because I haven't fully dove in. And here's the thing. By the time the Wednesday show happens, there will be more drops. It's really horrible. This is what happens this is why I discourage people from entering into transactional relationships. That's what it is. That's what it is. This is what happens if you're a guy with a lot of money and you marry a woman who's like a little bit too hot for you, and then you treat her like she's the fucking Queen of England. That's what's going to happen. That's what that turns into. She's just like she only tolerates you touching her because you're paying her. So don't do that. Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry. So what I'm going to do is, rather than jump into the Akash Singh stuff today, I'm going to wait and set that up for next week. I'm going to do more of I'm going to do the regular Monday show that I planned. But yeah, dude, this stuff is gnarly and deeply. Oh my God. I want to get into it because I just saw it, but it's just don't have time for that. Runaway Bag Fund is here. What's up, buddy? Well, let's get her. Sorry, I missed the last few shows. I'm on vacation, so I'm about busier than having work. Yeah, dude. It gets that way. That's crazy. I just found out I'm trying to set up a thing. I'm trying to be in Oregon in the spring this year. So I was in Oregon in the summer this year, and it was fucking great. I was up there for a show. I love doing casinos in rural town. Anytime you get put up at a casino, that's always like the nicest hotel rooms as a comedian. If you're getting put up at a casino, that's the best. And they have what's crazy about the hotel rooms at the casino, they have premium porn channels. You could go and you can still order porn if you're, I think because it's a boomer clientele, because I don't know anybody under 40 who's ordering porn from a TV at a hotel room. I don't know how that could still possibly be profitable. But I tell you what, man, they're making a lot of these movies and they look like they were made recently. So somebody's still making money off of hotel room porn. I will say that. I don't know who's making money off of hotel room porn, but somebody is, because they're continuing to produce the product. That's what I'm saying. And it's really fucking HD quality, and it's just what you'd always say. It's the categories are kind of repulsive, if I'm being honest with you. It's very detailed. And what's crazy is it's only boomers who are doing that. So it's dudes 60 plus, beating off in these hotel rooms, because there's no millennial aged people and below who are, one, can afford a hotel room at a casino resort in the first place, And two, once they get there, they have money left over to like spend on porn when it's free on the phone. I don't get it, man. Personally, it's not for me. I'm just there to do comedy. So I like casinos though because they have usually free Diet Coke. You can have as much fucking Diet Coke as you want. So love that. That's probably not interesting for an audience to hear about. All right, guys. So what I called the episode this is not a serious country because and what I wanted to do is I wanted to dive into a bunch of times where the media is like kind of being retarded and sniffing its own farts. Essentially, like I really think we don't live in a. What I mean by we don't live in a serious country is the beliefs that uphold our modern society and justify the way that we do things is that it rests on a bunch of presuppositions about reality that are not true. So, and if you talk about them for long enough, then the contradictions will emerge and then you're going to have to confront them. And this is why the people who are upholding the contemporary, like urban, leftist, kind of like mainstream way of looking at the world, the reason they don't want to enter any kind of like difficult conversation is because, or have any kind of debate or have their beliefs challenged is because they're not reasoned to from principles. They're just like derived from consensus. They're just repeating what they hear the people around them saying and what sounds nice and what feels nice to say. It's actually not, they don't have any logical or reasoned basis. And in fact, I have a video, I don't know if I saved that one. I saw a video recently explaining that the very concept of logic is anti-black, which is cool. So apparently, if you want to like have good reasons for thinking stuff and you want reasons that logically lead into another reason and you want a coherent way of thinking about the world, that's actually racist. So shame on you. Shame on you for being racist. I honestly don't. Okay, this is my hot take. I think if you go to environments where people make a lot of racist jokes, and the ones I'm thinking of are like places I've been are like car lots, comedy clubs, or like the militaries like this. You know, you go to people where there's a lot of different people who have different races and they make a lot of racist jokes. I actually think that I think that makes it easier to get along, not harder. I think, just from what I've observed. And this is because, I don't know, I think comedians are weird people. So I don't know if you can extrapolate much out of comedy culture that applies to the broader society. But like, there's all different types who are drawn to that, who just have that same bottomless pit inside them that needs attention, right? But there's not like a racial cap on that. There's all sorts of fucking weirdos. And yeah, there's the most vile racist shit that I hear is generally speaking from comedians, but it's in the spirit of like making a joke. And it's usually making a joke about a friend, so that's a good thing. Anyway, let's see who's in the chat right now. Let's see, I already saw Ronald. Oh, stop drinking Diet Coke. That is all back to lurking. Thank you, green-haired anti-liberal, friend of the show. Thank you. It's great because I will never, I don't know what it is. Every time I mention that I'm doing something, there's always some woman who will jump out of the woodwork to try to mother hen me out of doing it. I don't know what that is. I don't know, something about being a single man. There's always somebody who wants to nag you. Anyway, all right. So I want to get to this Whoopi Goldberg thing. Because she had Dylan Mulvaney on the show and she said some weird stuff about trans stuff and it was retarded. So I wanted to go over that. And so let's do that together. This will be fun. There we go. Okay, now we're cooking. Go ahead, Whoopi. What did she say?
Transgender athletes should be able to compete. And last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom said that he thinks that trans athletes competing in girls' and women's sports was deeply unfair.
Right, deeply unfair. Now, notice for my audio-only listeners, she said that when she said that, she made a face. She was like, deeply unfair. Like, ew, it's like, why would it be unfair for men and women to play sports together? That's like weird. Right. Whereas if you're a reasonable person, then you understand why it's like not awesome to have men and women playing sports together. Like if you're a regular, reasonable person, that's fine. But remember, they're promoting the views of this regular leftist metropolitan culture. And they don't have like a logical argument for what they're saying. They want you to feel like you're weird and bad if you don't agree with them. Right. But why? Because they derive all their views from consensus. Right. And so to be on the wrong side of consensus is to be the subject of ridicule and mockery. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
Now, I want to hear what you think, because I'll tell you what I think.
Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. So Whoopi Goldberg is being smart. She recognizes in this moment that she occupies a lower space on the hierarchy of victimhood than there's a trans woman at the table. And the only way she could be more is if she was like a black trans disabled sex worker. That'd be the only way to top it. But she's not. She's just like a regular trans person. But remember, trans people are at the top of the pyramid still. So go ahead.
Last time I played a sport, I was 6 years old and I was on a soccer team, but I assigned myself as the nurse. So I sat with the Band-Aids. And so in the words of Wicked, I am not that girl. But a dear friend of mine, Skylar, he is a trans athlete. His handle's Pink Manta Ray. That's someone who I really look to for guidance. And I think that is what's tricky is like now stepping in this identity. I'm still like a baby trans. You know, I've only...
Okay. So nothing to say there. Nothing to say there. And bear in mind, this person that they're talking about is a woman that transitioned to a man and plays sports, which, by the way, no one is concerned about. No one is concerned about. That's like literally not the issue they're discussing. Blackout Jeff, what's up, buddy? Happy to be here. Welcome to the show. Girl, I think not. Yeah, dude. This is pretty obviously a gay man. And like, what's crazy is like everybody knows it. Do you think there is any part of these women that accepts this person as a woman the same as they are? Do you really think that's how they feel? Or is that how they're saying they feel? Because that's the appropriate thing to say for the leftist cultural norm at the time. Like, is this what they're feeling like they have to say to fit in or to be popular or to be with the times or to be on the right side of history or feel like they're doing the right thing? Or do they honestly, in their heart of hearts, feel like that is 100% the same as me? Like, is this like super fucking weird? I don't mind dudes dressed up like women. I don't really fucking mind that at all. It's just like the way that they're all like sitting around pretending that like I'm the weird one for noticing. Because I'm not the weird one for noticing, right? Like, I'm not. I just noticed that doesn't look right to me. My bad. I mean, you can do it. Like, I'm not saying, like, anything. It's just, I just don't want to participate, right? Let's see how far this charade goes. Because it quickly becomes ridiculous. Go ahead.
From female to male and is competing with other males.
Correct.
No.
Yes.
Her friend.
Nobody fucking understands
From
what's going on.
female to male and is competing
Nobody
with other
fucking
males.
Gavin
understands
doesn't
what's
have a
going
problem
on.
with that.
No, I think part of the problem that the trans community is facing,
What is
and
it?
it's the same problem that women face.
Oh,
is
no.
If you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. So when you come in and you say, oh, you know, these are men, you know,
competing
against women. You're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except be here. Have you seen female athletes?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I watched a lot of WNBA basketball, and I gotta be honest with you, they're not as good as the men. And they would get bodied. And they have gotten bodied pretty consistently. Like, it's pretty common in, like, sports like basketball and soccer for, like, high school boys to beat professional women. That's pretty common. Like, it's just, like, a well-known thing. Like, everybody knows. Like, it's not just, like, conventional wisdom. It's, like, conventional wisdom that has been proven in recent history over and over and over again that no one who's involved in sports really denies. It is like self-interested transgender people deny it, and then like media figures. Let me get just real quick. Do you think any of these people are engaging in any kind of serious athletic endeavor? It's like, no, of course not. No, of course not. So they don't really know. It's just very easy to say if you just don't have any experience in material reality. And that's where these people are coming from. Like, these are media elites. They live in like large metropolitan areas. They don't interact with the physical world in a serious way all that much, right? So if you do things like, if you do like weightlifting or combat sports or anything like that, you will see it's like there are women who do those things at a very high level. But broad strokes, especially if you're talking about the average man, is quite a bit stronger and faster than the average woman. And if you go out to the tails of that and go to the extremes where you're comparing the most athletic men with the most athletic women, you find that the differences are actually more extreme, not less. Because the most athletic man is like way, way, way more athletic than the most athletic woman. Yeah, it's actually like, but if you compare, what they're saying is like, what if we had the most athletic women play some like schlubby guy eating Pringles on his couch right now? What would happen then? It's like, that's not the argument, right? That's not the argument. It's like, they have a really hard time with the fact, like, just like remaining logical and sticking with the issue. They have a very hard time with that. And also the fact they have a very hard time with this idea that some people just need to be left out of things. Like, not everything is for everybody. You know, not everything is for everybody. So just because you say you're a girl doesn't mean you can go into the girls' room. That's it. And you have to say that. But that's not nice, because some people will be upset if you say that. And you don't want to be a person who upsets people, because that violates social cohesion. And also, since they're deriving their opinions from consensus, they're not thinking through it logically. They're just mirroring the right opinion to everyone else so that they can feel like they fit in. So they're not thinking through it logically the way that I'm asking you to do now. You know, this is actually where it gets good. This is why I wanted to bring up the clip. Give me a second.
You know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue. The same for me as when people say, oh, you know, I don't know how I feel about you. You do. God doesn't make mistakes.
No.
And the challenge is not to the trans people, it's to the people who are not trans. That's what God is looking to see, how you treat people.
Yeah.
Now, see, this is the issue. Okay, so this is the issue. This is because she's saying God doesn't make mistakes, but he does sometimes put people in the wrong bodies. Right? Which is, you know, that's challenging. Hard to square that circle, I'd say, right? Right, guys? To square this. So how can you? What's bizarre to me? It's bizarre to me that a person will honestly say that, and will and not. What's crazy is like they'll also not see the contradiction. I think that's what's bizarre about the. Anytime you see one of these weird contradictory moments where some celebrity is asked to generate opinion from pontificate on a contemporary issue, you know, asked to have the right opinion to be in line with leftist orthodoxy, they always end up saying something like stupid or self-contradictory. And that's because, so you have to kind of be slick to believe contradictory things without tipping your hand. This is why these people don't want to debate. This is why they don't want to have a discussion with anyone who's reasoned to their opinions logically, and why they're saying actually logic itself is a tool of the patriarchy or white supremacy or whatever you want to say. Yeah, and then Mr. Scott, like, Normie, what's up, buddy? Strider's here. What the entire trans issue revolves around God making a mistake. Yes, exactly. Exactly. This is exactly right. Just saying that is contradicting the entire premise that the entire thing rests on. Right. So that can't be true. And also, unless, I guess, I don't know, it could be like an intent. Maybe it's like jazz, or he's playing a wrong note on purpose because it sounds good. Like maybe he put this soul in the wrong body on purpose. And humans are supposed to fix it surgically, and we've just been fucking up to this point. And just like, it's not logical if you say it like that. And you know, and what's crazy is they're like making a metaphysical claim. That's what bothered me about it, is making a metaphysical claim. It's like they're basically they're claiming that there's such a thing as a gendered soul, and it can in fact differ from your physical body, and that that there is and that 21st century medicine can fix it surgically. It's just like the whole thing, if you just kind of like say it, and that children should be able to do it. If you just like walk through it, logically, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I don't know how that could be compatible with your statement that God doesn't make mistakes. And it's like, it's on you to be accepting. And remember, this is the consensus, this is the pressure of consensus. That's what that is. It's like we, the good people who are moral, who are on the right side of history, who believe all the right things, who are very intelligent and very minded and very spiritual. We believe this. And so we're going to, and you need to believe this, as God wants you to believe this, which is such an interesting way to frame it. That's such an interesting way to frame it. Like, God wants you to believe this. As it's like the weight of consensus, the right side of history. If God wants it, then it must be good. There's a lot going on there. And if you just ask, wait, how is it possible that this can be true? And also the statement, God doesn't make mistakes, cannot be true. If you asked that, that would itself be a problematic statement, you know, resisting the consensus. Because it's like, because here's the thing, if you have follow-up questions, what they hear is, but from their perspective, they're like, I just told you that my position is good and that God wants you to do it. This is what everyone else thinks. This is what moral people think. This is what good people think. This is the right side of history. Why do you have questions? I just told you it's good. And it's like, well, you don't have a lot of credibility. Like, I shouldn't listen. I don't know why I should listen to you. Like, what's a good reason for me to listen to you? Why should I get my opinions based on what you say? It's like, because I'm one of the elite media aristocrats. I'm part of the aristocracy. Listen to me. I tell you what opinions to have. I speak for the consensus. It's like, well, I don't form my opinions based on consensus. I use reason to the best of my ability, and I try to read and I try to educate myself, and I try not to claim to know more than I do. And I just try to puzzle these things out the best I can. I'm just a mortal man, but I'm doing the best I can. And what I'm saying is what you're saying doesn't make any fucking sense. Respectfully. And I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm just saying that doesn't make any damn sense. But they have to believe that because it's like it also like having your opinions in line with the consensus is emotionally stabilizing. I'm learning part of this is a lot of people are just like not that comfortable with conflict or tension. I think that's one of the blessings of stand-up comedy is I'm very, very, very comfortable being in a room where everyone at the same time doesn't like what I'm saying. I don't really have a problem with that. I can be in a room where everyone thinks I'm wrong, and I can deal with that pressure. Most people can't. Most people can't take it. But it's like, you know, we got a bunch of people booing you at the same time. You can just deal with it. You just learn to deal with it. Like, it's not whatever, like, bad reaction I'm going to get from a room full of people. It's not going to be as bad as everybody booing me at the same time. You know what I mean? That fucking sucks. That's not ideal. So, but once you get through that, it just, like, it builds up your tolerance. I realize a lot of people don't understand that, like, my tolerance for, like, tension and, I'm okay if other people are upset. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I don't too much mind that. I think you have to have a certain tolerance for like irritating people in this culture. You just have to here's the thing. This is something I say, like, if you want to have a life that makes sense, you have to violate social norms a little bit, because the social norms in our culture are set up to basically never do anything courageous, never take any risks. You know, follow the safe prescribed path. Don't be honest about your opinions. Just shut up and follow the consensus opinion, even if it doesn't make any sense. And don't, you know, God forbid you should try to form a romantic relationship of any kind, because it's almost certainly going to be predatory, and it's almost certainly going to be you're going to be manifesting toxic masculinity, and you're going to require man keeping, and you're going to be doing some mansplaining. And you're going to be financially abusive, or you're going to be verbally abusive, you're going to be emotionally abusive, or you're going to be not even physically abusive. Just if you pay for the first date, that's financial coercive control. If you go 50-50 on the first date, then you're not a real man. You know, if you don't approach a woman, you're a coward. If you do approach a woman, you're a toxically masculine predator. You know, don't approach a woman in the daytime because she's just out shopping. She doesn't want to hear from you. But also don't not approach a woman during the daytime because what do you say if you just walk up and talk to me? And also don't approach a woman in a bar because I'm just here to dance. But also don't not approach a woman in a bar because, like, what are you, a diva? Men these days want princess treatment. Men these days want to be bad bitches so bad. They want to be girls like us, but they're not. They just want to be us. Do you see how, like, basically you just have to, like, do things? You just have to have the courage of your convictions and have some backbone and have some morality and just do things. You just have to, like, do things and, like, just know that just have good intentions with what you do, but, like, move forward in, like, a moral, clear way. And just, you have to just be comfortable with the fact that if you're going to act with confidence and agency and you're going to actually do things to try to make your life better, a lot of people around you are going to react very badly to that. A lot of people around you are going to, like, try to bully you, or they're going to try to levy consensus against you, or they're going to tell you that it's hopeless, or, you know, or be like, no, don't do that. That's bad. But it's actually necessary. It's actually necessary to maintain civilization, that you violate the retarded social norms of the current society. And you tell the truth and you act in a moral, upstanding, and forthright way. And you be direct with what you want. And I also think that that's going to require, because of the society set up the way it is, you have to have a tremendous tolerance for social rejection. Which I think is, like, that's one of the cheat codes of, like, doing stand-up comedy. If you're not going to do stand-up comedy, you should do karaoke or something. Something just, like, utterly where you're utterly humiliating yourself in front of people kind of routinely. Especially if it involves talking to strangers. Like, that's probably the best thing you could possibly do. Because you just need to get used to the fact that people are going to be kind of shitty to you if you have your own thoughts and you take your own actions and you don't follow a prescribed mode of being. Like, if you just start doing your own thing, like, people are going to be dog shit to you. That's just how it is. Yeah. Well, because admitting that normal athletes are at a disadvantage in the last clip. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but she doesn't understand, like, she's not, because remember, her positions are not reasoned logically. You can kind of see her kind of looking around and the way the women are reflecting back to her. What she's looking for, she's scanning for consensus. And she wants women to go, right, yes, right. You ever see women talk to each other and they're like, right, yes, yes. And they'll like interrupt each other to, like, add stuff, but what they're adding is just them talking about themselves, and they'll just keep like, it just seems excruciating. It's horrible. And when a woman talks to you that way as a man, it's horrible, because, like, when I'm talking to a man, I will, like, talk, and then I'll be done, and then I'll let him talk for a bit, and I'll try to listen to what he's saying, and then I'll talk again, and, like, I won't, like, unless we're, like, if we're, like, really scrapping, there might be some interrupted and move talking or whatever, but, like, I'm not going to interrupt your story to just start talking about me. I'm going to try to listen to your whole story. Yeah, women just don't do. I don't know. I don't understand their, like, conversation patterns. I don't know why they do it that way. But what all it is about, like, consensus and sharing and making sure everybody feels included and making sure, like, everybody is supported. Wow, secretly there's usually at least a couple of different women in there who are just the targets of bullying for no reason. They're just like, we're all gonna make sure everybody feels included except for Sharon today because, well, somebody needs to be the whipping boy for our unstable emotions, and it's Sharon. We decided we just don't like Sharon. Why don't we like Sharon? I don't know. Maybe she wears glasses or her hair's frizzy. I don't know. They have a reason. Maybe she's too pretty, or maybe she's uppity, or maybe she's ugly and she's not obsequious enough, or maybe she's fat but not funny. I don't know. Whatever it is, they'll find a reason, and they'll just, like, fucking pillory Sharon. I don't understand it. I don't know why they can't just be friends. Just be friends. Just be friends. Be better at making friends. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, by the way. This is what bothers me. It's crazy that women have the audacity to criticize male friendship. That bothers me so much because I enjoy hanging out with my friends. A lot of women do not like hang out with their friends. Is a fucking ordeal of, like, backstabbing and lying and manipulation and gossip and shaming, and they have an intricate... And they criticize us because it's like, your friendships aren't intimate enough. I think you guys should, like, hold each other and cry more. I think men should cuddle naked more. I think that would be good for you. It would break down your toxic masculinity. And it's like, you guys are fucking terrible at being friends, and you're criticizing us for how we do friendship. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's like lunacy. Because female friendships are notoriously like toxic and horrible and dishonest and backstab. It's like being in the fucking King's Court at Game of Thrones. That's what like being friends with women is. That's what being in a female friend group is like. And men are not like that. Men are not like that. We like being friends. I like hanging out with my friends. Like, I don't have my guard up when I'm hanging out with my friends. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I can relax. I'm like not worried about him like, fucking gossiping about me or like subtly trying to give me an easy eating disorder with passive aggressive comments. Like, I would never worry about that. It's crazy. It's crazy. And yet women will fucking fix their mouth and get on the internet and be like, male friendships aren't deep enough. You guys don't have women support each other and we're better at teamwork and we cooperate and da, 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 da. I'm like, what fucking planet are you on? Women are constantly trying to destroy each other. Men excel at cooperation. Like, you can put a bunch of guys who don't speak the same language together and give them like a task and they'll figure it out. We are really good at cooperating because our socializing. It's this. So Helen Andrews, who I talk about all the time, this is the great feminization chick. You guys remember? She talks about warriors versus worriers, and like male socialization patterns are about forming war bands, and female socialization patterns are about maintaining social networks, domestic social networks. So it's like warrior versus the battlefield is just like way more important that people be able to work together and they get their differences out and then they deal with them and then they move on. And, with the social connections, women tend to have these long, protracted conflicts that they never forgive and never forget. And just like men just don't operate that way. We just get past stuff and move on. And we're somehow the ones that are getting critiqued for how we socialize. I don't get that. Like, look in a fucking mirror. Anyway, I don't know what that was about. That was just something that was bothering me. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I think there's like a huge breakdown in just like hanging out with the boys. Hanging out with the boys is down 90% since COVID. I just know that. I don't know how I know. It's not an actual data. I just like, that's how I feel in my heart. It's my truth. Hanging out with the boys is down 90%. Yeah, that's why I think there's so many fucking, people live stream. I think that was the thing I didn't understand about live streaming when I started. I thought this was like talk radio or like stand-up comedy or whatever. It's not. That's not what it is. It's a community of people who like to hang out together. I didn't understand that. Now I kind of do, especially because you see like a lot of the same people like posting shit in the chat. You kind of get people's intellectual perspective, and it shapes the show because like I want to talk about the things that the chat is going to respond to. So it shapes the show. It's like way more interactive than if I was just like producing a radio show and I wasn't taking, feedback. That's one of the cool things about having kind of a stream with an audience that's relatively small but loyal is you kind of like the community as it you can kind of take shape, and you can kind of you can see what people are you can actually hear what people are interested in. It's not like just a mob of comments. I can actually hear what people are responding to. So that's cool. Anyway, let's go to the chat. We are all theologians here. Yeah. I gotta give Mr. Scott credit for coming up with the term theologians. I love that. That's awesome. Those street interviews are really telling. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is something I was thinking about. I think people, to some extent, when you put a camera and a microphone in their face, are, in some sense, the most obnoxious version of themselves on purpose. I wonder how much of that is real, but also I think you're hearing, because you hear so many contradictory things and so many kind of I guess uninhibited things. It's like people are talking without concern because they're trying to be outrageous. They're talking without concern of whether or not they sound polite. But I think that is what's fucking up men and women on the internet a little bit, is we're hearing I think when you were only hanging out with people in real life, you saw their most polite front-facing version, and now a lot of men are hearing women's innermost thoughts, and a lot of women are hearing men's innermost thoughts, and that was never the case before. And now they're hearing it, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is really ugly." And it's like, yeah, yeah, but it's like, yeah, the street interviews are crazy because you'll hear women in the same woman will say it's disgusting when men approach me, and also men are like literal children and babies and pussies for not approaching women. You should just approach me now. And they'll be like, they again, I say this all the time, but they went on like a worldwide witch hunt to make flirting illegal in the Western English speaking world. And then, like just a few years later, they were confused about why no one was approaching them anymore. They literally forgot that they did it. And they don't understand. It's like, well, don't take what I say seriously. I was just in a mood. And they want to pick the president. This is crazy. We cannot operate this way. We just can't operate this way. Like you can't derail civilization because you had a feeling. You can't. That cannot be allowed to happen. You cannot put the Western world on the path to extinction because you were upset. That cannot be allowed. And as you're kind of like finding out what people really think about stuff when they get quizzed, you just put these cameras in their face. You find out it's like, oh, okay, but like that's the thing. I think for a lot of guys, like that kind of wears the shine kind of wears off women with that, and like a really important thing that like motivates or used to motivate men to pursue women was that they were kind of like these shiny, mysterious, magical creatures that you could kind of admire. And they're just like not that way now in the West. It's like, ugh. That's kind of how I feel a lot of times. It's like you meet like a wonderful, attractive woman, and then she'll like say what her opinions are about stuff. And you'll be just like, oh, damn, that's a shame. It sucks, but I think it's. And it definitely wasn't this way like 10 years ago, at least not if it was this way, I wasn't aware of it. And I think one thing about it though, is I think most women seem to be pretty fed up with it too. I will say this. I wonder, like, I do really actually wonder what the percentages are. And like, if you broke it down and if you really looked at it, like how many, although I will say, like, I did a crowd work show not that long ago, and the women at that show pretty much sounded exactly like I would have expected. They were totally TikTok brained. So, I mean, it is pretty common. Like, I talk to a lot of women. A lot of them are pretty thoroughly TikTok brained, or they're very pessimistic about the way things are going. And I wonder how much of this is like downstream of like deliberate government programming too. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like every single like show that was popular with millennials and every single thing it was always like all the sitcoms were like people in their 30s who were like dating and hanging out like they were in their 20s and like not married. It was really cool to be like single in your 30s. Actually, real life, not cool to be single in your 30s, by the way. It sucks ass. It's not that fun, actually. And if you keep going with that, people like start feeling bad for you. It's not good. So, not fun. But they try to make it, seem fun. And I don't know, like just being like, oh, it's like it was almost like a default step in our generation that it's like once a girl turns 15, she's going on hormonal birth control. And that's a good idea. And it's definitely a good thing that we should do, because the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is you get pregnant. And then that will interfere with your very important career that you will definitely have. And then a lot of us have pointless, stupid bullshit jobs and no families in our 30s. I'm not like advocating teen pregnancy. I'm just saying like Like, and then like it's just like I know my generation in particular was on the receiving end of a lot of advice. Don't get married. Don't have children. And like I talk to a lot of married people even now, and I always ask them, I was like, should I get married? And they're always like, no, don't do that. Just live with someone, but don't get married. Like keep your options open as long as you can. Like that has become the conventional wisdom of the culture. And I think the data around young people like not knowing what the fuck they want to do as far as that is definitely reflected in that. So that is the message that's coming down. So let's see what else we got here. I refuse to make friends with women. I like out with male friends. Thanks. All women who criticize men's friendships need to sit the fuck down. Thank you, green-haired anti-liberal. She gets it. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is a lot of like intelligent, independent, thoughtful women will just deliberately forego female friendships because they don't want to deal with all the subtlety and all the backstabbing and all the like the speaking outside of your mouth and saying one thing and meaning another and pretending to be nice while being shitty behind your back. Like they just don't want to deal with all that. And so they voluntarily opt out. There's not a lot of men who are doing that. I will be honest. There are gay men who are doing that. There's not a lot of straight men who are like, you know what? I hate having fun. God, I hate fun. I hate hanging out. I hate being able to say whatever I want. I hate being able to think whatever I want. I hate being able to talk about whatever I want. It was great. A great way to spend the afternoon to sit around with a bunch of other men and talk about what football players used to be good. That is an afternoon. I could kill 6 hours doing that. Or what superhero could beat what superhero in a fight. I could kill 6.5 hours doing that with the right group of guys. Or like, yeah, like that's, you know, that's fun to me. And you can't have conversations like that with women because they just don't, they're just not, I don't know why. They just don't like to talk about that stuff. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't enjoy it. They just a lot of women like to talk about, it seems like there's some women that I met. This is not all women. We're blessed in the streaming space. I know a lot of women with actual interests, but I know a lot of women, like literally the only thing they know how to talk about is different times they were naked. That's it. That's all their stories. They don't have other stories. They don't have like other interesting information to share. They don't have other interesting life experiences. They don't have things that they've read or things that they've thought about or things that they've done that were compelling or interesting or moved them in a serious way. They just have different times they were naked. And this is reflected in women's podcasts. That's all they have to talk about. And it's like, that is so fucking depressing to me. Because I know, well, I don't know. Again, like I said, we're kind of spoiled in the streaming space because all the women who hang out on this side of the internet have interests for the most part. And so if they're doing shows about things that they're interested in, separate and apart from different times they got naked. But that's like definitely not the norm. And it's just, God, when you're sitting down with God, I cannot count the number of times I've like met a woman for the first time and she immediately launches into this story where she's just like wildly oversharing about something that happened with her vagina. And it's not all female comedians either. I know that's what you're thinking, but it's not. It is a fair amount of them, though, to be honest with you. I just really, God, they're such oversharers. It's different for me, though. Like, female comedians to me, I treat them like coworkers. That's a coworker to me. That's like, nah. Like, I'm not going to mess up. I'm not with shit where I eat. So, the other thing, too, is, like, they got, like, I'm not shitting on y'all, but they just got the same, it's all the same downsides as strippers, but none of the upside. Is they got that same compulsive need for attention, but they can't do the splits and they still got a gag reflex. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point dealing with all this trauma? No, I'm teasing, of course. I like female comedians like as homies, but like not as, no, not for, it's just not worth it to get involved. It's not just them. It's like regular ass women who just like don't. Just like your regular guard, right? Like a lot of them just like don't have stories other than times they were slutty. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, is that what we're saying? Damn it, I should have saved that video. That was a video I saw earlier of a bunch of older women being like, what would you do if you were 20 now? And they all said like not get married at all. Like go out and fucking be a whore and a girl boss, basically. That's what they all wanted to do. Which is like, I don't know, and I think the younger generation hears a lot of that. I think the advice that young people, unmarried people get, and I say this as someone who deliberately seeks out that advice pretty frequently. If I meet people who've been married for a long time, I always ask them if I should get married. And a lot of times I'll do this like I did a couple of sets over at Planet Hollywood Casino and Resort. They've got a comedy club in there called the V3 Theater. Shout out V3 Theater. Really cool venue. Really a lot of fun. And casino shows are different because it's all like tourists in there. And hosting is different from like I'm not there as a feature, I'm not there as a headliner, I'm the host. So I need to go to a cold room, I need to get the energy up. And so I talk to the crowd a lot because I'm trying to get them to, trying to pick up the energy, trying to leave it on a high note, and then I hand off the mic to the next guy. And a lot of times, like, one of the things, because everybody's coming from all over the country, so the only thing they have in common is, like, they're married, a lot of married people in there, because that's who has money to pay $50 to go to a fucking comedy show, is married people, old people, so they've been married for a long time. So I'll ask them in front of Jesus and everybody, what's the secret to staying married so long? Half these people, I mean, they joke about being miserable. But, like, it's fun to say, I guess. But, like, also, like, their genuine advice is, like, don't fucking get married. And I think a lot of people are hearing that. The problem with that, of course, is that marriage is like a load-bearing institution that you need in order for society to work. So, that's not good. Like, if we have a bunch of people who are just, like, single and, like, not having children, it's probably not a good thing. And for that to be, like, the mainstream, like, cultural advice, and especially because a lot of that was based on, like, fucking not just, like, personal happiness, which is a retarded fucking reason, but also like climate change and shit like that, which when now we're hearing, I guess climate change is not going to be an extinction level event. Like, how many millennials did not have deliberately foregoed having children because of fears about climate change, and now we're finding out that climate change is not quite the apocalyptic existential threat that we thought it was. And this is per, like, Bill Gates, right? So that makes me furious. Well, I don't know if we'll have time to get into that today. I'm just kind of, like, having fun here. I really wanted to... Okay, so this goes back to this... let me go through the chat real quick, because I've got another video I want to get to. Yeah. What women say that about females, though? Stop talking to crazy women, Theo. I can't. They find me. I can't. It's the water I swim in. I only meet crazy women. I don't only meet crazy women. I met some good ones. But they want to pick the president and the men to die in war based on vibes. Yeah, and that's not good. War vibes, bro. Just flow with it. Yeah, dude. And this is what I'm saying about, like, okay, like, the example of that is, like, the Ukraine conflict or, like, the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now, we didn't have American boots on the ground there, but the American government supported it. It didn't get to a point where American blood was lost, but American treasure was lost there. And this is, like, sold to, and remember, these were issues that were championed by the left. They really picked a side. We're like, we should get involved and put a thumb on the scale to support the oppressed group. And that's based on, like, feelings, not based on geopolitical strategic interest. That's just like the like somebody's over there kicking a puppy and we should go save the puppy. And they don't really care who has to die, who they're signing up to die, like, in order to save what they perceive as the puppy. And it's like, it's just so much more complex than that. But that's not what the phone says. The phone says have feelings. And so they have feelings and then they go based on the feelings. It's not good. As for the older women, these women were just as dumb in their teens. I remember being at Bible study before social media was a thing and they had the same thought process. Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's, this is, I think we just have a selfish culture and we're just seeing how selfish people are now. Maybe that's what the issue is. Maybe this was a part of human nature that always existed, and it's just getting accentuated and amplified, and it's just easier to see now. Like, this part of humans was always there. It's just more obvious and harder to ignore when it's, like, right in your fucking phone. Yeah. Have a career and a family, girl. It's so easy and you'll love it. That was our generation's propaganda. Now it's turned into just have a career because being a mom is unpaid servitude. I hate it here. Yeah, that's okay. That is such a great point. Hold on. I'm so glad that we are covering that Give me 1 second. I want to show a couple of things. Let's see. Let's see if I can find that. Ah, damn it. Where did that? Oh, here we go. That'll do. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So remember this? Okay, so I want to show you guys this that I just saw. Boom. So toxic masculinity indirectly lowers help-seeking behavior by encouraging men to bottle up their emotions. Okay? So remember that. So this is a function of toxic masculinity, right? Because it indirectly lowers help-seeking behavior. So one function of toxic masculinity is that, just so we're tracking the narrative, is that men are less likely to reach out and ask for help. Oh, but there's more. Wait, there's more. Check this out. Why women are weary of the emotional labor of man-keeping. As male social circles shrink, female partners say they have to meet more social and emotional needs. Oh no, wait, hold on. Which is it? Is it toxic masculinity makes men less likely to ask for help? Or is it that men are asking for too much help? Which is it? You see what I'm saying? You're toxically masculine no matter what. No matter what, you're toxically masculine. Right? Because you're toxically masculine if you ask for if you don't ask for help from your girlfriend and you're stoic. That's toxic masculinity. But also, if you need emotional support from your relationship, then that's inflicting unpaid labor on a woman. And that's toxic masculinity. By the way, men in the chat, do you find that you need more emotional support or more stabilization? Or do you find that the women you deal with need more emotional support and more emotional stabilization? Who is regularly losing their mind more? Is it men or is it women? Let's be honest. Based on your guys' experiences, which do you find? Because, like, I will say in my relationship experiences, generally speaking, the woman is upset more often and from my perspective, more trivial reasons. The things that bother women don't make sense to a lot of men, including myself. I think with me, I stopped trying to understand why it bothers her, and I just accepted that it does. It's like, okay, she's really upset right now. Okay, so all right, even though this doesn't make any sense at all to me, and even though what she's upset about actually doesn't exist in reality, that's okay. She's just upset. We can just wait for it to be up. Like that, like learning that skill set took me into my 30s. And yet women have the fucking audacity to complain about emotionally babysitting us. By the way, the cause of men's social circles shrinking is usually because when you first get a girlfriend, your girlfriend, if she's like emotionally immature, she will guilt trip you about hanging out with friends. She'll be like, I want all your attention. And if you give her all your attention, she'll actually resent you. And then pretty soon you like won't have any friends that you can call in a crisis. And then, you know, then you'll be leaning on her way more. She'll be like, I'm man keeping. But like, here's the thing too. It's like one of the things that we lost when we sent all the women into the workplace because we wanted to tax more people. We wanted to increase the size of the tax base. So we sent all the women into the workplace. One of the things we lost is that women build social connections in communities. Like women are the ones who are organizing the church bake sale. They're forcing the neighborhood barbecues. They're encouraging people to get together for social occasions. They're making that's like they take their husbands to the dog park and make them hang out together. Like that kind of shit. Like men are not interested in doing that. Men are like about their business and then will never talk to their neighbors if they're not forced to. But it's good for them to talk to their neighbors. It's good for them to socialize, even though they would rather not. It's still good for them. And part of like there's like the reason women tend to do these things and men do not is because men don't have an interest in doing them. You know, I don't care. Like it's the same reason like, oh, is my house defective because I only have, you know, because I don't have any decorative towels? Is my house defective? No. Is my house defective because I don't have very many pillows? No. But Like, if a woman lived, is my house defective because I don't have toilet paper? No. But if a woman lived here, I would probably have pillows, have decorative towels, have toilet paper. It would probably smell a little better, probably be a little more nicely decorated. Neither of those is wrong. But like, because I care less about those things are just like not going to happen. And it's not like sexist because I don't, want to do them. Just like it's not sexist that I think women's basketball is not that fun to watch. Like, I'm not a bad person for not liking it. It's just not a very good product. You see what I'm saying? And the modern culture is trying to make it seem like I'm like a bad person because of, again, this is the way men and women natively approach the world differently. These are natural differences that just kind of exist. And the culture is trying to pathologize them. And it usually pathologizes them, like I'm pointing out, it puts men in an unwinnable situation where no matter what you do, it's impossible. Like there's no, like you're, like this is the same thing with like approaching women. And the idea of putting you in an unwinnable situation where you have this impossible needle you have to thread in order to be socially acceptable, the whole goal is to make people say, well, fuck it. If that's the rule, I'm not even going to try. That I want, just remember that. Their whole goal is to frustrate you to the point that you give up. It's like customer service with the cable company or the health insurance company or trying to get anything done with local government, anything like that. Their goal is to frustrate you to the point that you give up. And that's the way it is with like, that's the way just everything in this culture is right now, is it like finding a job, finding a wife, having children, all the way to getting a pothole in front of your house filled in. Every single thing in this culture is just so mired in bureaucracy and red tape and bullshit, written and unwritten social rules and faux morality and virtue signaling. The whole point of that is to make you give up and stay inside. That's what I want. That's why, by the way, this is why I called my first show Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. That's what I called it, because I wanted you, as soon as the show is done streaming, to get the fuck outside and do things. Feel that sun on your face. Touch that grass. Just don't fucking let these people win. Don't let them win. They want to demoralize you until you quit. Don't let them win. But do watch my show, though. Watch my show with the internet. And then the second my show is over, go outside. I hope, the reason, by the way, people ask me, why are you doing a show at 11 o'clock on a weekday? Because I have friends who are, and viewers, not just friends, viewers and friends, both. And viewers, some viewers are kind of like my friends. Some of you I know. Point is, like, I have viewers and friends, but mostly it's my friends. I think about my friends who have computer jobs where they have to like answer HR emails, and they have to attend like diversity training, and they have to attend sexual harassment seminars, and they have to just working hard or hardly working, Bill. Huh. Like they have to do that, and it makes them want to kill themselves. And they have to go along. And a lot of these like corporate structures, they have leftist presuppositions in place just by default because they're trying to avoid getting sued. They're trying to align themselves as much as possible with like diversity and sensitivity, because if you miss too far on that side, you're not going to get sued. But if you miss too far, if your workplace is too macho and too fun, you definitely might get sued. But if it's too far in that direction, people are not going to complain. They're going to go along with it. So a lot of people are in places where they're just swimming in these beliefs about reality that are fundamentally incorrect. And for at least the 2 hours. And so I do this during the day while those people are at their computer jobs. They can put a little earbud in. Or my buddy, I have a listener friend of the channel where he's an electrician, so he listens to me at his earbud, while he's at work. Mine is business, but that's why I do the show at that time. So the people that are they're swimming through this horrible dystopian cyberpunk bullshit reality that leftist theocracy has created for us, or theology, I guess, has created for us. Fuck, the show's called Theocracy. I said the name of the show, but I said it as a pejorative. So that's kind of weird that I did that mid-monologue. The point is, this structure of like pseudo religious beliefs that fly in the face of observable reality now is everywhere. It's permeated every single section of our society to the point that almost every workplace is inundated by it. And so I do the show at the time I do it so that the people who are at work, who are dealing with it right now, can at least for the 2 hours that I'm talking feel like they're not crazy. That's what I do it for. That's why I do it at this time. I don't know if this is a good time to do it as far as like the listener base. I don't know if we're actually going to build a listener base doing it at this time. It's going to find out. So we're going to find out. Try to do like shorts and clips more. We got to do that. But yeah, let's make sure we get through the chat. Best 4% in all the interwebs. Absolutely. By the way, shout out to the 4%. We got to get like a graphic or something for the 4%. My audience is still mid-90s male. But like the women in this chat are incredibly based and thoughtful. I think that's good, especially as I look at my viewer. Most of my viewers are 25 to 34. A decent percentage are younger and a decent percentage are older, but that's the main demographic. The younger guys especially, I think, are in trouble. Like they need as many. I got to get more based women in the chat because like younger guys especially, like you got to think their formative years, especially if they're like teens now, their formative years were watched. Mostly what they know about women is what they've seen on the whatever podcast. So it's like the horror saying dumb things genre of podcast has informed, an entire generation of men coming up. That's what they think women are. And there definitely are women who are like that, but like vast majority of women are nothing like that. Like, a lot of women are fucking, like, sick to shit about what's going on now. I think it's harder for women to resist the forces of consensus because they rely on consensus for safety a lot more than men do. Like, as a man, you can kind of be a loner and deal with the social punishment more easily. Women have a really hard time dealing with that. So, by the way, put another coin in the Theo making excuses for women jar. We got to get another graphic for when I'm white knighting. We have to do that. That's got to talk to the producer, Emerald. So if Theo tries to hold me and cry, first I'll check I still have my wallet. Then I'm calling him game with different words. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We just don't. Men don't like. I think the big problem is that women think that men need to socialize and work through problems the way women do. That's not the best. When I'm feeling really like not good about myself or I feel aimless or purposeless, what I do is I'll like go into the woods and if like rural Washington or Idaho or something like that, like I'll go up there and I'll go hang out with my bros up there who have families and like pieces of property or whatever. And it's like, let's go do some fucking yard work. Let's go clear some brush. Let's go like fucking work with some livestock. Let's slaughter some chickens. Let's do something that does not require a computer, that does not require, that involves getting in touch with nature. And we'll go out there and we'll like smoke a J. And I'll look at him and I'll be like, yeah, man, I'm really going through it. And be like, yeah, what's up? And then we'll like talk about it for a second. Be like, oh man, have you tried this? I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. And then at the end of the day, we've accomplished something. I have new strategies. I feel better because I feel useful. Now, a lot of what with men feeling better, a lot of it is they need to feel useful. They need to feel like they're doing something productive. They feel like they have some control over their life and that their choices are having like a meaningful impact and the things they're doing are like moving their life in a better direction. If they have like a sense of purpose and they have a task and they have goals to go after, immediately they're going to start feeling better. Like if they just like they don't need to like sit in a circle and hold hands and like vent about their problems. That's just like not male socialization. That's why men stand shoulder to shoulder when they open up versus women standing face to face or like more facing each other. There's data on that. It's like you being shoulder to shoulder while you're working on a task with your bros is actually the best way to like hash things out. And women don't understand that. We don't understand that. And I think it's you're doing it differently, so you must also be doing something wrong. So it's something women tend to do, moralizing preferences, where they're like, I prefer we do it this way, therefore it's correct. And if you do it wrong, you're hurting my feelings on purpose. It's a very weird thing. I don't no idea why they do that. And it's like not mature adult women who do that. It's like, It's like somebody who hasn't grown up who does that. But yeah, it's not how men socialize properly. It's like we're well adjusted, don't socialize that way. And because it's like, if you must vent about your feelings, also be useful at the same time. Like, if you must talk about something difficult you're going through, by all means, might as well get some yard work done while you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, get something done, obviously. Like, build something, because then you have something to show for what you did. It wasn't just like wasted time. We're just like sitting around, jerking each other off in the hot tub, while you're crying it out. I mean, that's not good. Man, football in general used to be good and not full of pussies who could not touch the QB without a flag. Can't even breathe her in a QB's general direction now. Yeah, football in the 90s was gnarly. And before that, it was even crazier. Do you guys ever watch Night Train Lane highlights? Night Train Lane was a fucking menace to society. We might have to pull up some Night Train Lane highlights one of these days. I don't know if we're going to do football highlights on the show, but I really want to. So Night Train Lane played back when it was just legal to try to murder people in football. Face masks were legal. So that was his thing. He would just like clothesline people, grab them by the face mask, and just rip their fucking helmets off. Which is can't do that today. That was a totally legal move when Night Train Lane was playing. And he was like bigger and faster than everybody. And he was black. So he was just like fucking mollywopping these guys. That was great. We might have to pull up some Night Train Lane highlights at some point. Women are gay based. Yes. Women, stop sexualizing me. Also women. Here's all the things I could do with my butt. Yeah, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't understand that because, like, okay, I'll give you an example. For a long time, we were talking about, publishing doesn't have a lot of female authors. Imagine all the brilliant female voices that have been silenced throughout history. And I was like, okay, wow, that's really persuasive. And now that women completely dominate publishing, it's all porn. It's just all porn. Like, you can't say that women we're not silencing female voices anymore. We're hearing from almost exclusively female voices. And women are making all the music too. And it's all about their vaginas. And they're doing a lot of the comedy too. And dear reader, I regret to inform you, it is also about their vaginas. It's like I'm telling you, a lot of women, the only thing they have to talk about is times they were naked. Oh, God, it's so sad. It's so sad because we didn't know what women thought about. We could imagine that it was good. We could imagine. That's what I don't think women understand is like men's internal mental picture of what women are is like so much better than the reality. All you have to do is like shut up and smile and men will fall in love with you. You just have to not talk. And they don't understand it, and they have to. It's like they have to. They can't help it. They can't help it, and it's just horrible. I don't know where this trend of like saying like horrible, disgusting things on the internet, into a microphone is coming from. I don't know what brought that about. I don't know if it was like reality television. Was it reality television sort of that paved the way for social media where it's like, hey, be like an embarrassing drunk whore in public and then that's entertaining for others and people will root for you and then do that in your real life and then post about it on social media? I don't know. I don't know if like reality TV paved the way for that or fucking what that was. I don't know. But that was it's crazy. Like, I don't understand, like, why. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, I guess it's because attention is really, really addictive. And if you say disgusting things on the internet, you will get a lot of attention. And because it's so competitive with so many people saying so many disgusting things, like, I guess you have to be really repulsive if you want to stand out. Ugh, God, but it's like, is it worth it? Like, at what cost? Like, attention is the most important thing, Yes, people should get married. Also, stop sleeping with people you don't want to date. Yeah, casual fucking is just destroying the dating economy. Oh my god, just horrible. For all the reasons that we talk about all the time. Everyone in my audience already fucking knows this. You know, I don't know how to explain this to. I don't know how to explain this to people who are doing like I always tell when I meet girls that are very that are kind of living very chaotically and are engaging in a lot of casual sex. I always tell them like you don't have to do that. Like what I find is the big connection is nihilism. Like a lot of people are like, I'm gonna have short term fun because I don't think there is a possibility that things are gonna work out long term. And the thing is, it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy because the more casual sex you engage in, the less likely it is that you're gonna be able to have a stable relationship. Because you got to quit having casual sex, and then it takes a year or two to detox your brain from craving constant novelty to craving to actually getting what you need, which is like intimacy and interdependency with like one stable partner. That's really hard to, make that switch. It's very challenging. And they don't understand because what we got, the propaganda we got from sitcoms is you could date like a million people and then you'll just meet one person and it'll magically all work out sometime in your mid 30s and you'll have 7 children and then that's that. And it's like, it's not how life works. Like there are limitations to what you can actually do. I keep trying to tell people this, but like, and also the thing is, we know what creates the best outcomes in relationships. It's not a secret. We've known it for a while. You just have to do what fucking works. That's that simple. You just have to do what works. And it's like fucking a bunch of people is not it. And people say, oh, well, you want to test drive the car before you buy it. It's like, I don't think so. And here's the thing. I know that makes sense with cars, but the fact is vaginas are not cars. It turns out a whole different set of rules applies to vaginas than applies to cars. Although I do think we should have some kind of mileage report. It's not unreasonable. Want to know what you're getting into. And I say this as somebody who's fairly high mileage myself, reportedly, respectfully to myself. Self-selection, weeding out the climate charts. Yeah, okay, that's the other thing, too, about the birth rate. So when we hear about, the birth rate's plummeting, what it's really plummeting for is people on the left. People on the right and religious people are still procreating at replacement. Maybe not, they're not necessarily exploding in population, but they're replacing themselves. So it's like they're above replacement. So it's really the people who are all in on the leftist culture of surprisingly the culture that says be gay, do crime, sterilize your children, sterilize yourself, don't have kids, be dual income, no kids, don't have children, don't buy into your community, Western hegemony and patriarchy is bad, America is evil, give up, be depressed, take Prozac. Which, by the way, not to shit on anybody who's taking antidepressants, but it is a fact that psych meds lower your sex drive. And it is a fact. That's just one of the factors. We don't talk about that enough on this channel. I'm not a doctor and I want to get in trouble. But just especially from my experience and just what I've seen and what the data suggests, psych meds are super bad for your sex drive. And I think there's probably way too many people who are medicated right now. I think there's definitely too many boys on ADHD meds. And they do have lifelong consequences. We're medicating regular male adolescents, but we're also, I think, if you look at the data of how many women are on psych meds, I think we're using, a lot of women naturally are more prone to negative emotion than men, and they're looking around at society and they're like, hey, everything sucks and I'm scared all the time. And this is because the media is lying to them all the time. And the phone is lying to them all the time, and they're constantly on the receiving end of propaganda designed to make them anxious and afraid. And then they're like, I feel anxious and afraid all the time. And they're like, okay, here's a pill that'll dull that very normal and understandable emotional reaction you're having to the reality of your life. Here's a pill that will dull that. And by the way, it'll also make you less horny. And oh, by the way, here's hormonal birth control that makes you infertile. I know that to men, it's you feel like you're struggling against futility and you feel like there's an inner spirit inside you that wants to create and explore and do things and to follow your own rules and to path in life. Okay, well, that's disordered. So here, have some ADHD medication, and when that doesn't work and that makes you sad, we're going to give you an antidepressant. And by the way, this will make it hard for you to maintain erections for the rest of your life. Go for it. Like, at some point, at what point does this shit start to feel intentional? At what point does this shit start to feel intentional? At what point does the millennial propaganda, like, don't have children, just focus on your career and buy, like, fucking Labubu's and video games your whole life, and that's going to make you happy, and buy, like purses and shoes if you're a girl, or, like, Labubu's and video games if you're a guy, and then that's going to make you happy? Like, at what point does this shit, like, start to feel intentional? It just feels like this is, you know, intentional. I'm not. I don't think I'm crazy. You know, I need emotional help cleaning the kitchen and getting me a beer, and yet no one would ever support me. Based. Hail Theo, hope your day is good. What up, Full Metal Nate? Make sure to check out. The D&D stream. Full Metal Nate is a dungeon master, very popular. He's got a D&D stream over on his channel. I appear in that game. Butterscotch Ballynook is my character. He's a halfling bard. He's a good guy. Theo hasn't had a good day since the 19th Amendment was implemented. That is based and true. Oh, shit. It's 4 p.m. on the East Coast. You're filling a popular time slot for live shows here. Oh, shit. No way. Okay. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm crazy, Theo. That's why I play D&D. Oh, yeah. White knight. Yeah, I was saying, whenever I do something white knighty, I can always rely on the green-haired anti-liberal to point it out. Hey, God. Not to mention the effects hormonal birth control has on marriages. The man she falls in love with on birth control becomes the man she despises when she comes off of it. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence suggesting that women's mate choices are very different when they're on birth control versus when they come off of it. And that's not a surprise. If you know anything about how much of an impact hormones have on, like, how you feel about stuff on a day-to-day basis and how you think and how you act, it has a huge impact. So it's not surprising at all that if you make a dramatic shift to someone's hormones and then you make another dramatic shift, that's going to affect who they're attracted to. That's very logical to me. Now, that's what the data suggests. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a hormone doctor, and I'm not giving medical advice here. But I'm looking at this and I'm saying, hey, that looks not good to me. It looks not good to me. I don't know if we should be fucking, especially very, very young women, because they'll be on birth control from the time they're like 15 years old up until the time they're like maybe 26, 27, 28, maybe even 30. They might be on it the whole time. It's like, bro, like, should we be messing with fertility that much during the time at which a person is most fertile? Is that a smart idea? You know, like, we're doing a lot of shit with hormones right now, especially, I mean, setting aside the gender transition stuff for a second, well, that's pretty, like, that's obviously fucked. Like, I think most reasonable people are like, yeah, children should not be getting injected with any kind of hormones, to the point that a lot of the people, even the people who are for gender affirming care for minors, will say, oh, but we're not going to inject them with hormones, just puberty blockers, which are totally reversible, which is, by the way, a lie. But they even the people who are the most in favor of this at this point in the Overton window are going to say, oh, well, that doesn't happen. And if it did happen, it was a good thing. Like, they'll get really frantic about it if you try to point that out, you know, because we know that minors can't make good choices, because why we don't let them get tattoos or vote or sign contracts or fuck adults, right? We don't let them do any of that because we know they're bad at making choices. And we don't want to empower sociopathic, narcissistic adults to prey on children by causing them to make permanent choices that they would not otherwise make, you know, if they had adult perspective. Except for in this one area where we think it's okay. But like, let's set all of that to the side for a second and ask, should we be, like, fucking with young women's fertility windows in this way? Should we even be doing that, you know? And especially because we also start people, I know this, we start people on psych meds very young too. Boys, ADHD meds start very young, but then even later, setting aside stimulants for ADHD, you're talking about selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, your standard antidepressant, your mood stabilizers, your lithiums, you know? So we're putting people on them at, like, the most emotionally turbulent time in their life. We're deliberately using chemical interventions to downregulate their emotions, or to stabilize their emotions, or to... why we're not asking why is it that we have such a huge problem with so many young people who just like who are just like emotionally incapable of dealing with the bleakness of the reality of their existence. Why is that? That's a good question. And the fact is, we know the kinds of things that make human life meaningful and beautiful and good are community involvement and religious affiliation and closeness with family and feeling like you're a part of your community, and that you know what your job is, you know what your role is, and that you feel like you're making a difference and all this stuff, and you feel like you're part of a community and you are recognized by the people around you. You see others and you feel seen by others, like that kind of stuff. We know that that actually leads to human well-being, and our society does absolutely everything it can to disrupt that. And then if you feel bad, you're weird, you're medically fucked up, and you need to be medicated with medicine. If you notice how fucked up things are, And this is actually what I wanted to show this video. This video is actually, I don't want to dunk on this woman too much because this seems like bleak, sad cope to me, but this is like more of the child-free kind of stuff. So let's take this one from the top, actually. Boop. Yeah, so boop. Let's see what this young lady has to say. Things that just make sense in my child-free home, part 2. I did not see part 1. I'm assuming you don't have to see part 1. She gets to sleep in as long as she wants. She enjoys all her coffee breaks in peace. I'm going to go ahead and mute the music because the music makes this kind of whimsical, but I want you to remember that her home is completely silent. Remember, it's just the noise of the cat's nails clanking on the floor. Other than that, there's no noise in this apartment. Remember that. Let's see. Disposable income. Let's see. And what so she's buying. It looks like she has a subscription for makeup and perfume, which she can buy because she does not have children. So that's pretty cool. That's better than having children, right? Having perfume. Go ahead. Oh, and you can buy tchotchkes and you can put them on and scented candles. Always quiet. And candles as plants. Okay, so you can have candles and tchotchkes. That's better than children, I would say. Watching cartoons because she wants to. You can see the cat tree over her shoulder in the background. So I didn't even know she had cats when I said that thing about the cats. Oh, man. Never missing a brunch because my time is all my... Oh, man, that's better than children, right? That's better than Western civilization. Being able to go to brunch whenever you want. That's cool. So, to be clear, one of the advantages to not having children that she wanted to highlight is you can drink alcohol for breakfast. Go ahead. Oh, boy. That was a good one. Yeah, dude. I don't know. That seems like cope to me. I guess, look, if you're a young person and you don't fucking know anything, I guess that looks awesome. It's like, cool, I get to live the adult life that middle school me imagined. Now, I will take it from someone who actually did that. Like, I actually did pretty much manifest the exact life I imagined when I was a middle schooler, and it is fucking terrible. I am in a Twilight Zone-style prison of my own creation. And it's fucking horrible. And I'm pretty much exactly what I thought I was going to be from, like, probably like 14, 15 on. Like 13, 12 to 14 was when I made the choices about what I wanted my future life to look like that resulted in this. And it's pretty horrible. It's pretty stupid. It's like, filling yourself. I mean, not so much now, maybe like 2-3 years ago. But yeah, filling your life with like mindless hedonism and pleasure and bullshit is not good. And by the way, that silence she's bragging about is probably like eating her alive inside. I mean, it just looks like cope to me. Like, as an adult, it's like people want to have connections. Like, you can't just engage in mindless hedonism forever. Like, at some point, you desire connections and you desire, being a part of something deeper. And for a lot of people, the most deep and interesting thing that they will ever do is have children. Most people are not making giant contributions to human civilization, one way or another. Most people are not. You can build your own little quiet piece of reality. You can, form a connection. You can have. What I hate about stuff like that is it's coping and it's look how great I am for not having children, and people are going to see that and be like, oh, that looks awesome. Now I'm going to make that choice too. And a lot of people are making that choice and regretting it. Like this is good. Let's see. Psych medications are an input loop. If diagnosed, you get a pill. If you don't need it, the side effect causes the symptoms that set you up for that pill. That's a really good point, Weasel. This is a really good fucking point. I love my chat. I have the best audience on the internet. That's a really good point, actually. What they don't tell you about antidepressants, and this is true with other psych meds too, but for instance, antidepressants, one of the side effects of antidepressants is if you take it, it can either, if you have suicidal ideation or if you have depressive symptoms, it can either make them better or make them much worse. And if it makes them much worse, then sometimes the answer is more medication. Isn't that interesting? Right? Isn't that interesting? Because this all operates off of this flawed chemical imbalance hypothesis, which we now know is mostly horseshit. Like, what makes people depressed is usually they don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they matter. They don't feel any sense of connection to their community. They don't have spiritual connections. They don't feel connected to their family. They don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. They don't feel like they have a purpose. You could fix a lot of that by just getting someone a pet. A pet and a job and a girlfriend and a couple of phone calls from mom will fix a lot of depression. Maybe a gym membership. Maybe get outside more. Maybe beat off to porn less. Like a lot of that stuff is a lot of this stuff is like correctable without pills, but you have to make lifestyle changes and you have to quit the things you're using as an emotional crutch. And you have to stop lying to yourself that you're okay with the way things are now. And I think that's what a lot of childless millennials, some of us are like me, right? And there's me and there's I know some of you are in the chat, folks who are like millennial generation. We bought the propaganda. We did what we were supposed to do. And now we have really cool single lives with no, not married to anybody, no children, and you were looking around and it's like, well, this is like empty and kind of dog shit. It's like, yeah, I can smoke pot in the middle of the day and I do comedy at night and people give me money for it and that's cool. That's a cool thing to do, but it's fucking meaningless, disconnected from like responsibility or like, community or like opportunities to, pass on the knowledge that I've acquired. And I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat. And I think that there's two ways you can deal with that. You can either go the way that I and the people I've seen in the chat go with it. It's like, well, shit, man, that's just how it is. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to try to make the best of it. And if I'm blessed to have a family, that's awesome. I'd like to. If not, oh well. It is what it is. And you just try to make the best of it. Or you do what the fucking this lady's doing. And you try to be like, look how great it is that I can just jerk off in the middle of the day and no one can stop me. And it's like, bro, that's fucking sad. You are a sad person. You sound sad. And if everybody does what you're doing, we don't have a fucking society. That's the other thing, too, is like you have an obligation to the next generation to create it. And you have an obligation to your ancestors to create the next generation, to keep the society going. Think of all the benefits you get from how stable and safe Western civilization is. As much as we may criticize this country, think how many benefits you get. Think how great it is that we have this fucking internet that we could all connect on right now. And we can fucking read books and talk to people, and we have, movies, and we can go watch football in a stadium. And if you can't afford a ticket to the stadium, you can watch it on TV basically for free. I mean, come on, man. It's a good little society we have here. Nobody's starving to death. We got more fat poor people than we have starving poor people, and it's not close. That's something, right? It's a problem, but it's a different problem than, hey, the saber-toothed tigers are eating us and we're all starving to death. We have different problems now. And that's good. That's good. We owe a debt of gratitude to our ancestors for creating the circumstances, and we have an obligation to the future to create the future, and also we have an obligation to our ancestors for all their sacrifices to make sure that the civilization gets from where it's at now into the future. Let's take the present into tomorrow. Let's keep it going, man. We have an obligation. But this is, I think, we have a couple of generations in a row that have been trained to just think, what do I get? What's good for me? Not what do I owe, it's what do I deserve. That's the word you hear so much in a lot of these street interviews or these horse say dumb things podcasts, or when you talk to all these like selfish, internet whores, right? Oh, it's always I deserve. What's a man going to do for me? What's a man going to do for me? And they're almost like upset if you ask them like what their responsibilities are. And the fact is, like, all of us have responsibilities to the society that we draw benefits from. We all owe something back. And I think decoupling us from that responsibility like makes people feel like deeply, deeply, deeply disturbed. And I think we're trying to fill that in with like psych meds and fucking DoorDash deliveries and like mindless hedonism and like jerking off and, hookups, whatever. We're doing whatever we can to just like null the bleakness of a meaningless existence. And that's fucking horrible. I would not, wish that on my enemies, What's ironic is the song gained prominence during the wedding scene in The Godfather. Yeah, so it's like literally this banger from Ronald Skinburn. Imagine her ancestors 1,000 years ago potentially starving or enslaved, giving everything to protect their children's right to inherit the earth. What would their reactions be to this? Yeah, I agree with you. That's what I'm thinking. I think we absolutely have an obligation to the past and to the future to try to like bring that society into the future. And some of us are not going to have families. It's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's how the game is. But, you have an obligation to at least try to contribute to bringing the society into the future and not fucking, don't denigrate the society. Don't denigrate the institutions. Just, it's so easy to, talk shit when you just don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand what the alternatives are. Like, you don't understand how safe and comfortable this society has made you such that you have freedom to bitch about it. And it's always just give me more. I deserve. It's never like, what can I do to like make the world better? Really, really fucking awful mentality. It's not smart at all to think that way and not sustainable. If you got a bunch of people with their hand out, What do psych meds actually do to you over time? That's a great question. I can tell you about the side effects. So in general, I can tell just from my personal experience, in general, they make you kind of like numb and they cause you to gain weight and they make you foggy and they make you less creative. And over time, you just get used to feeling that way. And then going off of them, you get a lot more sense. When your emotions turn back on, it's very jarring. Now, to be clear, I quit. I was on a lot of psych meds, and I quit all of them cold turkey. Don't do that. That's bad for your health. I do not recommend doing that. You should taper off with a doctor. I chose to go a different way. When your emotions all turn back on at the same time, it feels very, very jarring. It's like having a bunch of open wounds. It's like very jarring and very upsetting. But the other thing about it is that a lot of us are like have dysregulated moods, and this is crazy. You wouldn't even think about this because our diet is terrible. And so our blood sugar is like chaotic and inconsistent and keeps spiking. And also a lot of us just like drink too much caffeine. So our heart rate is going up. So that causes all of our emotions to be more intense. Like a lot of us are emotionally dysregulated because our diet is garbage and our life is contributing to that in a negative way. Like it's this constant like slow drip of like needing to go work and needing to pay bills and barely getting by and the dollar doesn't buy anything. Like that stuff is excruciating for humans because it's like not presenting a solvable problem. It's like a never-ending unsolvable problem. Not good. Right? Not good for stress levels. Also being surrounded by strangers, which if you live in a major metro, you're surrounded by strangers. And it's never quiet and you're not like in nature, like connecting with the outside, which is really critical. Getting like sunshine on your face, like all these things, getting enough sleep. How many of us are actually getting enough sleep? Really? Not getting enough sleep by itself can make you depressed without any other factors. And I think if we're talking about suboptimal diet, not enough exercise, not enough outside time, slow drip of just modern life, not getting enough sleep, maybe too much screen time. If we start stacking these factors, I think if I listed like 7 factors, most of us would check off at least 3 or 4, each of which by itself could cause depression. Right? But the answer is then pills. You know, and some of them, like there's some, I just saw something recently that said some of the sexual side effects, like downregulating your sex drive, that persists after you discontinue use of the pills, which is crazy. I mean, and I wonder, it's clearly doing something to the way that you regulate like dopamine and serotonin and all that shit going on in your brain. It's clearly doing something, but you're gonna have to ask somebody smarter than me for the actual like nuts and bolts of it. I could just tell you like experientially what my subjective experience was like being on and being off. And it just like, I lost like 70 pounds when I stopped taking them too. It just became so much. It was gradual. It didn't happen immediately, but like it just, I think what it is it's a crutch, and then there's like changing the way that you think about stuff and embracing, like for me, like Stoic philosophy was very helpful. And just learning different ways to just like regulate my emotions and be okay whether or not things were good, whether things were going well or things were going badly. I was learning to kind of be okay regardless, like just learning how to just be in the world and just adapting to hard things. That does a lot more to help your depression. And I think the pills kind of get in the way of that process. Psych meds can get in the way of that process. It's like a crutch that prevents you from learning how to walk properly. You know, because it's like, I don't have to regulate my emotions if I just don't feel them. You know, but like some people like, okay, part of your burden, if you are like somebody who has a lot of strong emotions, part of your burden in life is learning to regulate that. And not just throw it in a bottle, but like learning to process it and take the information and deal with it in an intelligent way. That's part of your burden. And getting in the way of that, it gets in the way of people like maturing. And we're seeing a ton of that now. I mean, listen, we got the most medicated, most therapized generation in history, and mental illness is increasing in frequency, not decreasing. So we have more therapists than ever. We have more people prescribing mental health medication than ever. We have more pharmaceutical interventions than ever. We have more therapeutic interventions than ever. We have more therapists doing more therapy to more people than ever at any point in history. And yet, the amount of mental illness is increasing and not decreasing. This would suggest that, okay, listen, the reason we know the polio vaccine works is because we rolled it out after polio, and then all the polio went away. Nailed it. Crushed it. We got it. Less polio now, less smallpox now, less measles now, whatever, right? What if, and I don't want to get into a whole vaccine thing. Just run with me on the metaphor, because I don't know. You guys may know more about vaccines than me, and I could be totally wrong on this. But let's, for the sake of argument, let's say we rolled out the polio vaccine, and instead of eradicating the existing polio, half of the nation's young people suddenly got polio. And even people would say, hey, maybe there's something wrong with this vaccine, right? And that's kind of what's going on with therapy and psychiatric medication right now, where they're like saying, oh, these treatments work. And this is not only these treatments work, these treatments are the only acceptable thing to pursue. And a lot of women, especially in metro areas, will say they will not date men who do not go to therapy. They won't date men who are not pursuing these treatments, right? Because they're necessary. You have to process your trauma and honor your inner child and all this stuff, right? Okay. But as these treatments continue to proliferate, the problem gets worse. That's not good. That's not good. Like, that kind of suggests to me that the treatment doesn't work. Or that the treatment might be making things worse. Actually, like, taking somebody aside and having them ruminate on their problems is like not a good way for them to get over their problems, believe it or not. That actually makes them a lot worse. Yeah, most people need to, most people need something to do, especially men need something to do. I think for women, maybe griping about their problems, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I know for men, we need to be task oriented and we need like something to do. You give a man a task, give him a job, give him something to complete, give him objectives to complete. And once he starts completing objectives and accruing the benefits from that, that is going to benefit him way, way, way more than just like griping about his problems. The lady in the video can do all those things she bragging about with kids. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I don't know that kids would yeah, I don't know if kids would actually prevent people from doing that. That's the other thing too. Weasel, I'm not dumb like Theo. I got married at 24. Yeah. Weasel, is that you, Pauly Shore? Yeah, I wish Pauly Shore watched this show. Only if we want to create a rumor that Mr. Shore is stealing Theo's jokes. That'd be fine. Bro, can I say something? I've seen Pauly Shore live. He's fucking incredible. I've seen him. I saw him. Pauly Shore did a set out here in Vegas at Wise Guys Comedy Club in the Art District before they closed it. They moved from Art District to kind of like a different location, kind of in like a mall Galleria type deal. It's not as good. The Arts District location was fucking grimy and cool and dope. Anyway, I saw Pauly Shore down there. He is lights out good at comedy. Like in terms of like, there's like people who are funny. There's people who are good at standing in front of a room with a microphone and making people in that room laugh. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying stand-up comedy. Like he's good at stand-up comedy. Like just good. Just lights out fucking great at it. Like not like in a way that like very few people I've ever seen are good at comedy. Like he was fucking lights out incredible at comedy. Anyway, so that's my ringing endorsement of Pauly Shore. He's a fucking badass. He lives out here. This is okay. There's a couple more videos I want to get into. Let's see, which one do I want to do? Let's see. Let's do this one. Okay. So this one I've been trying to get into for a while. This young lady has some opinions about young men's political beliefs. Go ahead, sweetheart. What do you have to say?
No one wants to date a bigot, and I think politics play a larger role in dating and dating choices by women than men are even capable of understanding.
You heard it, fellas. You guys are all shit out of luck. No one wants to date you because you're bigoted and you're listening to this bigoted podcast. It's a bigoted live stream. This is misogynistic propaganda. You're part of the manosphere. You're part of the evil manosphere. No one wants you. You will never get laid. Your bloodline ends here. All right, go ahead, sweetheart.
And then I think they sit on the internet and complain it's because they don't have enough money and they're too short. But really, it's because of your fucked up belief system. That's why women aren't dating you. If you voted for somebody who repeatedly bashes marginalized groups of people, bashes minorities, bashes women, has no respect.
She seems great, doesn't she? I can also say, by the way, if women are attracted to you, they don't give a shit about your beliefs. So there's like truth to that. Like if they're sufficiently attracted to you, they will forgive all kinds of shit. They don't really give that much of a shit about what you believe about stuff. It's actually not that important. Like I've said this about like, I understand like, you understand like a lot of women are getting their political beliefs. They didn't reason their way there. They're deriving them from consensus and from like the emotional resonance they get from joining the consensus of the group, or that's what they were taught in college. Like they didn't reason their way there through independent research. So their political beliefs are likely to be very malleable. Also, people like change their political beliefs in relationships all the fucking time. Like men pretend to believe shit they don't believe all the time. And women, I think, over time tend to get more based after they get married. There's a lot of data suggesting that. Also, this woman sounds like fucking horrible. Like I know she's like operating off of the assumption that she's the prize and she's amazing. And she's a decent looking Asian girl, don't get me wrong. But can you imagine hanging out with her on a daily basis and she's just talking to you in that voice? Go ahead.
Respect for them at all. Yeah, that says a lot about your character, and that's unattractive to most women because that's an ugly trait to have. It shows that you condone those behaviors. Young women are shifting more left, and if you continuously shift more right in response to that rhetoric, then yeah, it makes you more unattractive to them. Voting for a man who is proven guilty of violent crimes towards women is indeed an unattractive quality.
Bear in mind, this is important. So the same women that say it's unattractive to vote for a Trump supporter will be attracted to an assassin or a terrorist. This is the same people who thought Luigi Mangione was hot. And if a sufficiently hot guy had tried to assassinate Trump or Charlie Kirk, they would have thought that guy was hot too. Just so you know. Just so you know. And by the way, your political beliefs are the problem. Meanwhile, if you look at all the people who were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk openly online, it was all women. Right? And their beliefs, not all, but mostly, right? And so it was their political beliefs that men are inherently toxic and the way that you natively approach the world is wrong, and that children are disgusting, and that climate change is a disaster, so there's no point in even having children, and that women in a relationship owe men nothing, and they are the prize, and they are the table, and you owe her everything, and actually all of the duties and responsibilities fall on you, and all of the privileges should flow towards her, right? Those beliefs about the world are not unattractive. That is not keeping them single. No. You need to change your beliefs so you can get with her. She doesn't have to change any of her beliefs to match you. That's not, your beliefs are the problem. Go ahead.
Shows us that you don't care about how that affects women at all. And I think to a certain extent, these men understand that, which is why they're on their dating apps saying they're moderate, saying they're apolitical, and all of these things, when really we know who you voted for. And that does make you undateable, and it does make you unattractive because you condone terrible behaviors towards women and minorities, and that will never be attractive. If you want better results in dating, I implore you to change that belief system. No one wants...
Okay. So if you want better results in dating, change your belief system, which is crazy. The pitch from left-wing women seems to be, have the right opinion, then I'll let you crack. I'll let you smash if you have the right opinions. That's their whole vibe. It's their whole pitch. It's not like, hey, we have the truth, we're virtuous. It's like, ew, you can't sit with us. If you don't do it, we won't. And by the way, doing that gets you head pats. It's like good boy, gets you good boy points, but it doesn't actually like make you like what makes you attractive is having principles and having a backbone and having boundaries and being able to say no and being able to say things like, hey, let's agree to disagree, and being really reasonable about it. That does make you attractive. And I find this, like, I disagree with women all the time. I make a point of it. Like, anyone who's familiar with my history knows that, like, I like to start fights. You know, I don't just go with the flow. If I disagree with something, I usually say something. And by the way, that has never gotten in the way of me getting dates. So that doesn't, it's actually the best way to, if you want to find a woman that you match with on a values level, you must then also be honest about your values, even if that upsets others. And you don't have to be a dick about it. You can just be like, hey, we agree to disagree, and you can keep pushing. But this is like the default assumption of a lot of left-wing women, you know. Let's see. I went on a date with a pretty Brazilian, and she looked at me like I was a serial killer when I gave her my opinions on the She-Hulk show and told her I voted for Trump 3 times. Ironically, if I was a serial killer, she probably would have been into me. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny because, like, they won't date a racist, but they will fuck a serial killer. I'm not Pauly Shore. I can't get you a gig as his opener. You don't have to glaze him. You know what? You know, Weasel, I can't take any chances, okay? Mind your business. I got to take all the career opportunities I can get, however they come to me. Let's see, Asian, she sounds like a liberal white woman. Yeah, she does. And that's the main enforcers of the mainstream culture. So I'm assuming this is like some kind of like college educated woman. I would guess most of the women who think this way went to college almost universally. It's being colleges are indoctrination facilities. And this is why I think college is stupid and a waste of time, is it actually doesn't increase your earning potential, especially for men. It doesn't actually give you a leg up anymore, and it doesn't give you an education anymore. It really is just a facility for indoctrination, and the further you go along in education, the more hostile it is to men. That's true. High school is more hostile than middle school. College is more hostile than high school. Grad school is more hostile than college. And the further you go along, the more hostile it is to men. So, and the less useful it is, actually. It's past a certain point. Most of what you need to know is all attainable for free if you're willing to read books. And it sucks because there used to be spaces where you could like throw around ideas and push back against people and have discussions and find out the places where your worldview had a weakness, where you were wrong, and you could get tested and really like test your mettle. It used to be based like that. It isn't anymore. It has been the education system is really just an indoctrination facility where they are creating Marxist revolutionaries, which is very, very stupid if you want to have a society that works. Very, very stupid to create a bunch of Marxist revolutionaries and give them degrees and tell them they're aristocrats and tell them that their degree makes them better than everybody and then go make them be baristas. Very, very hard to undo that level of class resentment. You cannot unfuck that pony. And that's what's happening right now. So, and this is, it's weird. Like women are like, have liberal beliefs so you're not a bigot, and have leftist political beliefs. But the thing is, like, leftist, I don't know if I've hung out in leftist places. They are actually, they're antagonistic and hostile to men. So you're asking a man, it's like, I want you to have beliefs that are antagonistic to your own self-interest in order as a prerequisite for dating me. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to oppose my own self-interest, and I'm not going to operate against my rational self-interest to date you when this woman seems deeply unpleasant. And a lot of these leftist women they can't help it because they can't hide the degree to which they are resentful and angry at men. They actually can't hide it. They don't have the ability to hide it. So it just comes out in all sorts of little ways. And dealing with these women is just horrible. It's just horrible on a day-to-day basis. Like, honestly, it's way better off if you are honest about your values. First of all, if women are into you, they're still going to hook up with you. So if that's what you're into, which I don't recommend doing, by the way. But if you're honest about your values, then you can find women that share your values, and those are women you could date. And it's so much better. Dating a woman where you have a values match is so much fucking better. And it's not even close, dude. I promise you, any woman that wants you to become a leftist as a prerequisite for dating her is not a good person to date. I think a lot of people are kind of like a lot of men are kind of like falsely like lying about their political beliefs on dating apps. And it's like, I understand why they're doing that. I understand why they're pursuing that strategy. But like, the only way to get the actual kind of relationship that you really want is by being honest and upfront about what you think about stuff and being direct. It doesn't mean you have to be mean, but this is why it helps to be able to articulate yourself well. Like, this is why I listen to podcasts like this one, like Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. And some of the other ones. There's a lot of stuff, and I've obviously read about. I gotta publish the official Touch Grass reading list at some point. The official Theo Snodgrass reading list. I gotta publish that. I have it written on my phone, and I gotta add to it. But there's a lot of books on there, and it's just there's so much good information out there, and it's basically all free. It's either you can get a library card. It gets so much good information that can educate you about how people are and how the world works. And what you will find out is that the leftists especially are very Dunning-Krugered. Like, they think that they're brilliant. They have everything figured out. And remember her main critique was it wasn't like, oh, your economics are bad, or you believe things that aren't true, or it's like you're a bigot, and being a bigot is unattractive. You support policies that hurt women and marginalized people, and you're supporting a sex criminal. Now, bear in mind, Joe Biden was also credibly accused of sex crimes. And bear in mind that, Kamala Harris, while she was the Attorney General of California, had policies that adversely impacted marginalized people. So even using their own logic and reasoning, because of how expansive critical theory is, you can find absolutely every single politician has some dimension upon which they could be criticized, which is the point of having a purity-based system like that. The point of purity politics is that they can be turned on anybody at any time. So the fact is, for a woman like that, like this sad Asian girl She's so indoctrinated in her politics. There's actually no way you can ever appeal to her and ever make her happy. It's impossible. She's always going to find something wrong with you because you're a man, or especially if you're a white man. There's always going to be something wrong. There's always going to be some way in which you are not pure enough because she, from her own perspective, occupies a superior place on the victim hierarchy. And what's crazy is, like, it's not the men's politics that are necessarily making them undateable. I saw another video that was saying the women were so far left, it was making them undateable, not because, not because the men wouldn't take them out, but because of their beliefs about the world make it impossible for them to form meaningful relationships with men, because a lot of their beliefs are that men are the oppressors and men are fundamentally dishonest and men are fundamentally bad people and they're bigoted and so on, unless they're like deprogramming their own internalized misogyny or whatever. And I mean, it's so exhausting. I mean, who has the time? Who has the time? I mean, honestly, the truth is you are not really going to be happy as a person until you stop giving a shit about other people's problems and start giving a shit about your own. You really just have to solve your own problems, gang. That's really it, because no one else is going to help you. So if you're super wrapped around the axle because you're I'm so worried, I'm so anxious about everyone else's problems, the world is so unfair. Meanwhile, you live in a pile of your own filth. No one is going to improve your life if you don't. No one is going to take an interest in your problems if you don't. It is on you. Is on you to make your life look the way you want it to the best of your ability. You got to give your best crack, right? And if in the process of that you are pursuing your rational self-interest, that is gonna, there's a certain left-wing woman on the internet who's gonna say that makes you undateable. What I will say is this: when you meet women in real life, it's a totally different thing. It's very, very, very common for women to become more based over time. And if you can have like a reasonable conversation without being a psychopath, and you can just like honestly and rationally express your opinions without losing your temper, you are going to find out that a lot of women are either going to, agree that you have a point and go with it, or they are going to self-select themselves out of your dating pool. And either way, that works to your benefit, gang, because you don't want to date these broads anyway. I'm sorry to say it. I know that Asian girl looked really good, and I'm sure she's very sweet, but I promise you she is so obnoxious that dealing with her interpersonally on a day-to-day basis would drive you absolutely fucking insane. And for more on that, come back on Wednesday when we're going to do another Akash Singh episode. Akash Singh, for those of you that don't know, is a comedian. And his wife is a lunatic, and we're going to get into that next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday. Not tomorrow, following day. That's when we're going to get into that. I'm going to wrap up the show for today. Hold on. We got to chat here. Crap. And here I thought lowering my carbon footprint was going to make my wife walk again. Yeah. Oh, man. If only. That's the thing. Well, yeah, it's crazy. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, but like one of the things that the fact that like I'm a millennial, so I'm 34. So my whole life we've been hearing about the environment and overpopulation and how climate change is going to be this cataclysmic, life-altering event that's going to bring an end to human civilization. And now fucking Bill Gates comes out and says, it's probably not that serious. And I think about how many people in my generation chose not to have children because of it would be bad for the planet. And now we're finding out that it was bullshit the whole time. Just insane. Just insane. The degree to which, like, the establishment legacy media lies to us basically every single second that we're awake. Every single second that they're talking to us, they're lying to us about stuff, which is just crazy. It's just wildly unethical. And it has had horrible, disastrous consequences for my generation and worse ones for Gen Z. And I think, I don't know, we'll see how things go with Gen Alpha. They seem pretty fucking based. I am a little worried that racism is coming back in style. And not like the fun kind, like the actual racial animus kind, which is not the fun kind. So we'll keep an eye on that. Anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun. I will see you guys right back here next Wednesday. We're going to shoot for 11 a.m. It might end up being 12. We're going to shoot for 11 a.m. though. 11 a.m. Pacific time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's Theocracy. Oh, 11 a.m. Pacific time Saturdays. That's Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. That's my panel show. We're going to bring some folks on the show, get some of my friends on here to talk about their opinions. It was great talking to you guys. My name is Theo Snodgrass. I'm a comedian podcaster out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I already told you what times my shows are. If you want to see me do live comedy, please come out here to Las Vegas. Check that out. I'm going to be announcing, I think my next big road trip is in February. We might have some stuff coming up in December and January. We're going to find out. For the most part, I'm doing stand-up out here in Vegas. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to me on YouTube. That's a really important one. If you're not a subscriber on YouTube, we need to get those subscriber numbers up because I'm trying to get this YouTube channel monetized. So without further ado, thank you. Take care of yourself. Good night. Please enjoy the intro to my other show as the outro to this show. Thank you very much.
Look at that crack. Damn, this crack look good. This Johnson crack look good. Well, look at my crack. No. Look at that crack.
Are we looking at ours as cat now?
Yes.
That
Sorry,
way.
I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And cause I was a gazillionaire and I like building so much, I cut that price for free.
The species is dying, the birth rate is plummeting, women are chopped, but yeah!